Hey guys, YouTube100 here. Alright, and now here I am continuing with my countdown of reviews for my picks for the top 10 best animated DreamWorks movies. And now here I am with my review of what I have in the other spot at number 2, which is Chicken Run. So, yeah, I really always loved this movie. I mean, this really is a really great film. I mean, yeah, critics really were just went nuts over this film. The critics really did love it. I mean, yeah, and audiences overall really did seem to like this film too. And yeah, I really have always loved this film. I mean, this just really is such a great film. This was the first like full length feature film that Aardman Animations had made. And yeah, it really did, they really showed how much they could do, because yeah, this was really such a great film. I mean, it just had some great animation duel with the claymation stop motion, just really great. And yeah, the story for this was pretty great, and yeah, it was pretty different than what we usually see. Yeah, this was really such a great film, and I really have I always loved this film. Yeah. Yeah, the story for this film is really just it's in a farm in England, and it's a chicken farm, and all the chickens really are just desperate to really escape. And yeah, throughout this film they really are just really trying to come up with plans on how to escape. And yeah, yeah, that's really what they really spend pretty much this entire movie doing, just trying to figure out how to escape from the farm. And yeah, the two owners of the farm, yeah, a couple married couple, they end up wanting to do something else with the farm to make money. And then yeah, then just the chickens really are just racing to get out of there before that plan ends up working. And yeah, so yeah, dude, since this movie is in England, there is a lot of British actors providing the voices in this film, along with Mel Gibson, who voices Rocky in this movie. Yeah, Mel Gibson is really the only American actor in this film. Yeah, and yeah, I really have just always been crazy about this film. I mean, like I said before, really do love claymation, and this film is really the prime example why. I just really have I cannot say it enough. I have just really always loved this film. It just really is a great film. And yeah, and one of the things that I really do like most about this film is the music. The music in this film is just absolutely phenomenal. Just really do love pretty much this whole movie is filled with great music, and yeah, the music is just absolutely phenomenal. Just to give an example to you guys of how great the music is, I'll put a link down in the description box of the music for the opening credits of this film, and yeah, this music is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, yeah, it just is such a great track. And yeah, definitely just listen to this music and just hear how great the music is in this film. This is just an example of how great it is. Yeah, this, I just cannot say it enough. I really do love this film. It just is really so freaking great. I would give this film 3.75 stars out of 4 once again. It just really it really is just a phenomenal film. It just is so great. I can't say it enough. So, yeah, let me just get right into it. Alright, so the film opens up one night on the farm where the farmer, Mr. Tweedy, is kind of just circling around the barnyard hard with the two guard dogs he has. And you know, the main chicken of the film, a hen named Ginger, is trying to lead an escape attempt to crawl under the fence, and Ginger is successful doing it. And then she tries to lead some other hens out to escape. But yeah, one of the biggest hens of the farm, Bunty, ends up getting stuck. And as they're trying to like get Bunty unstuck, then Mr. Tweedy ends up catching Ginger outside. And once Mrs. Tweedy then saw Ginger outside the fence, then Mr. Tweedy just ended up throwing Ginger into the coal bin that night. And then yeah, throughout the opening credits to the film, and it just showed like like uh like Ginger ended up like being released from the coal bin and placed back into the barnyard and stuff, and then yeah, basically throughout the opening credits, it just shows like a bunch of other attempts by the hens to escape from the fence, and yeah, just yeah, Ginger just ends up like always getting out, and then yeah, Mr. Tweety just keeps on dumping her back into the bin just day after day with their failed escape attempts. Yeah, and then eventually one morning, like the hens are called to roll call for like the egg count that they have like every 3 days. Anyways, and yeah, and then as Mr. and Mrs. Tweety are like having the head count and stuff, it shows that like one hen, Edwina, like hadn't laid any eggs for like 3 days, and then yeah, she ended up being taken away and being slaughtered really, and it was actually pretty dark. Like as Edwina was slaughtered, we didn't actually see like her being slaughtered, but yeah, as it was being prepared to, it showed like Mrs. Tweety grabbing an axe and preparing to like chop off Edwina's head, like we saw in the shadows. Like she was like raising the axe up, and then it cut away. Hey, and yeah, we didn't actually see the head chopped off, but we heard like a thud. So yeah, you knew what happened. Yeah, so pretty dark stuff in this film, kind of. Yeah. And so yeah, later that night, then Ginger held like another meeting to try to come up with another way to escape. And yeah, we also then like met two like farm rats, Nick and Fetcher, that Ginger hired to try to like give them supplies to escape, but Nick and Fetcher turned down when like they were didn't like what Ginger paid them with. She just gave them like a bag of chicken feed. And when they wanted eggs, and Ginger was just telling them that the eggs were too valuable and stuff. And yeah, meanwhile, like Mr. Tweety was kind of like seeing some, was kind of like seeing being kind of suspicious of the chicken's intentions, and after like he saw what the chickens were kind of doing, and but Mrs. Tweety didn't buy it, and she was just trying to tell Mr. Tweety that it was all in his head. Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny, like despite the fact that they're actually like married together, they actually do refer to each other as Mr. Tweety and Mrs. Tweety. So I don't know if like that's something that like they do in England. I don't know because I'm not from there. But yeah, I just felt it was funny that they actually refer to each other as Mr. and Mrs. rather than their first names. Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, later that night, then just Ginger was then just trying to tell the hens about how they what they need to escape to, and she was just telling them about the paradise that they can go off to, where like they wouldn't have to worry about any head counts and any farmers or dogs or fences or anything. Yeah, but Bunty was then just telling Ginger that the or chances of them getting out of the barnyard are like 1,000,000 to 1. Yeah. And Ginger just felt discouraged, so she ended up like walking out of the hut, and then like Ginger then just suddenly like heard like a we heard like a blast, and then it showed then another rooster ended up like flying. Well, supposedly he was flying through the air, and then yeah, he ended up like crash landing into the barnyard, and there was also like a poster that ended up like falling down with him, and yeah, it was like advertising Rocky the Flying Rooster. And then yeah, then they ended up like rushing Rocky inside after like a one of those like food holders ended up like falling onto Rocky, and yeah, they ended up like bandaging Rocky's wing that was sprained. And then yeah, once Rocky then woke up, he then like saw the chickens like Ginger, Bunty, and also like Babs and Mac and everyone else. Yeah, and you know, like one of the other farm's roosters, Fowler, really like didn't really like Rocky that much because Rocky was actually American. And then yeah, Fowler is like a rooster that had a history before with like in the Royal Air Force and stuff. And throughout this movie, like Fowler was like talking about like his memories of the Royal Air Force and stuff. Yeah, yeah. And you know, and then like once like the hens like learned that it was actually Rocky actually on the poster. They were just like asking Rocky to teach them to fly so they can actually fly out of the barnyard and away from the farm. Yeah. But yeah, Rocky really like, you know, of course, like he had a secret, and so yeah, he was just trying to find a way out of it to so he wouldn't show them. But then eventually, as Rocky was trying to leave the farm, then showed like a van from the circus ended up pulling up, and yeah, Ginger then like discovered that Rocky was like running away from the circus, and yeah, then like the circus person like was talking to the Tweedies to try to find Rocky, and yeah, Ginger was like saying that if Rocky would teach them to hide, then she would hide him, and then yeah, Rocky eventually ended up agreeing to it. Yep. Then yeah, the next day, like Rocky was like really just stalling all the other hens, teaching them to fly, and it was funny. Like Rocky was like pretty much like trying to get the hens warmed up, and he was like doing a bunch of exercises and stuff. At one point, like his he hurt his wing or something, and he was like clenching his wing, going ooh ooh ooh, and the hens actually copied him and stuff, which I thought was kind of funny. Yeah. And eventually, as like he was then like actually trying to help the hens fly, of course, like it didn't work. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, there were just like a bunch of failed attempts by the hens to try and fly. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, eventually, he like at one point after like there was like a crate that ended up like being delivered in the barn, and like the hens knew that something suspicious was going on. Yeah. And then eventually, like he like after another roll call was being held, and yeah, Babs then just like was really nervous because in that time she hadn't laid any eggs, and so of course like this would like mean that Babs would ended up being slaughtered. So Babs was like nervous about it. But then once Mrs. Tweed came out for the count, rather than like counting the eggs and stuff, instead she was just then measuring chickens instead. And yeah, she measured Babs, of course, and then yeah, she had Mr. Tweety then just double the chicken's food rations to fatten them up. And yeah, Ginger caught on to what was going on, and yeah, Ginger knew that they were going to get killed by Mr. and Mrs. Tweety. And once Rocky then like saw like how depressed all the hens really were, Rocky then like just conned Nick and Fetcher to steal a radio for him, and he just promised him like an egg that he was gonna lay, even though he wasn't, because he's a rooster. Yeah. Then like that night, Rocky then like was then just having a party for the hens, and yeah, the hens were just like all dancing around and stuff. And then at one point, like Babs then was just like thrown right into a wall, and everyone took it as she was actually flying. And then like Ginger then noticed that Rocky's wing had completely healed, and that he would be able to fly for them now. And as Rocky was about to like admit the truth to Ginger, then like there was a huge rumble being heard from the barn, and then yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Tweedy now had built a pie machine to make chicken pies with. And yeah, they tried to test the machine on Ginger, but yeah, Rocky went out after Ginger, and he actually jumped into the machine to save Ginger. And yeah, they just like came across a bunch all the stuff inside the machine, like there was like saw blades to chop things up, and then they like got caught in the dough for the pie crust and stuff. And then yeah, they like ended up like getting like made into a pie. And it was put in the oven, but yeah, they were able to escape the oven before the doors had shut. But at the same time, like they ended up like damaging the machine by sabotaging it and blocking up the system and stuff. And yeah, that ended up like buying them more time to escape from the farm. Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, the next morning, as everyone was preparing to see Rocky finally fly, it then showed that Rocky had actually like he ran away, and he actually left another piece of his poster. And then yeah, Ginger put it together, and then like it showed the full thing, and it just showed then like the poster was Rocky being fired out of a circus cannon, and so that's when Ginger and the other hands like realized the truth that Rocky really couldn't fly, and he was just being shot out of a cannon instead. And yeah, then it just showed Rocky like ended up running away from the farm and just bailing. Yeah. And then yeah, it then like everything then just started to turn into a real heated exchange with all the hens. And as Fowler was breaking it up, he was talking about like his days in the Air Force once again, and he also like ended up bringing up like the old crate, which was an old plane that he actually did fly in while during his days in the Air Force. And then, yeah, Ginger then, after learning more about the old crate, Ginger then thought up of a new plan for them to escape, to still fly out. And then Ginger decided that they would actually build their own old crate to escape. And yeah, they were then just like building up their old crate with the help of Nick and Fetcher after like they hence then agreed to like pay up Nick and Fetcher with eggs. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, the hens were basically then just racing Mr. Tweedy with his repair on the pie machine for them to build up their old crate. Yeah, and then at one point, then like as it showed like Rocky like riding down the countryside, he then ended up like spotting a billboard that was actually advertising Mrs. Tweedy's chicken pies. And then yeah, that's when like Rocky was then like just really convinced that he should return. And then until then Mr. Tweedy had finally fixed the pie machine. And as he was going to get all the chickens, then the chickens then all ended up attacking Mr. Tweedy and pretty much yeah, they ended up just pretty much like trussing him up and like actually placed him under a hut, which I thought was pretty funny. Yeah, this movie did have like a lot of funny scenes like that. Yeah. And then it showed them actually assembling their plane and stuff. And yeah, then like as they were like ready to take off, it then just like showed Fowler really wasn't planning on actually flying the plane. And because yeah, Fowler then actually revealed that he actually was not the pilot of the old crate, and that he during his days in the Air Force he was only a mascot. But then yeah, through the encouragement of Ginger and the other hens, and telling Fowler that uh, the day that he always is talking about is actually on today. Okay, then convinced Fowler to take the controls for the plane, and then yeah, they then as they were setting to take off, they then set up a ramp for them to fly over, and as they were approaching the ramp, and then, like, Mr. Tweedy then just ended up kicking the ramp over, but then as they turned to, like, were turning the plane around, they ended up, like, whacking Mr. Tweedy and knocking him out. And as Ginger was trying to reposition the ramp, Mrs. Tweedy then appeared and just pinned Ginger down with an axe onto the ramp. And, yeah. And then, yeah, Rocky then arrived back, and then he was just like on a tricycle, and yeah, he just flew over the fence and nailed Mrs. Tweedy, knocking her down. And then yeah, Rocky and Ginger then ended up like putting the ramp back in place in time for the plane to take off, and then yeah, Rocky and Ginger also joined up like up by climbing up like a string of Christmas lights that the plane was actually like had snagged like on the wheels and stuff, yeah. And once they were back in the plane, as Rocky and Ginger were about to kiss, then like Mrs. Tweedy then like grabbed a hold of the string of lights, and yeah, she was then like climbing up to try to get the chickens, and then yeah, Ginger then was like trying to cut down like the string of lights, and like eventually like it then showed like Mrs. Tweedy like ended up like swinging her axe at Ginger, and it looked like she actually did chop off Ginger's head at first, but then it showed Ginger had ducked and Mrs. Tweedy missed it and actually did slice through the lights. And then yeah, Ginger was actually pretty strong because she was actually holding up the end of other end of the light that Mrs. Tweedy was on. Like she was just holding that on her own, and she's just a chicken. So yeah, Ginger's pretty strong. Yeah, and then yeah, she just then like dropped it, and then yeah, sent Mrs. Tweedy back down, and Mrs. Tweedy just fell right into the safety valve of the pie machine, and then yeah, that then like caused the machine, of course, to be like backed up, and then yeah, the machine then just ended up like exploding, and it just showed like a huge full blob of gravy in the explosion and stuff, and yeah, it ended up like destroying the pie machine and the barn itself. Yeah, and then yeah, Mr. Tweedy then was just like telling Mrs. Tweedy that he just really told her so, and it just showed like a like I think a full wall ended up falling down on Mrs. Tweedy. So I don't know if I ended up killing her or something. But yeah, it just showed like a whole wall just ended up falling down right on her. So yeah, I guess we don't know. I mean, was she dead? Did she survive? We never found out. But yeah, and then yeah, later on it then showed then all the chickens then just found their own new paradise on like this sanctuary island or something. Something, yeah. And and yeah, then like showed like Ginger and Rocky now like had a romantic relationship with each other, and yeah, Ginger just said that this was better than she imagined and stuff, and yeah, it just then like slowly backed away from the island, and it was just showing like Nick and Fetcher just discussing like what they should do. Like they were talking about getting like their own chicken farm on the island or something. And they were like unsure whether to get a chicken or an egg first, and yeah, they were just continuing to talk about it, and it just ended with like Fetcher asking, "Let's go over this again." Yeah, and just had that piece of the music once again that I was just talking about, but pretty much the same music piece that opened up the film during the opening credits. So yeah, that's how it ended. So yeah, definitely like a really great film overall. Like I said, 3.75 stars out of 4. I mean, it really is just such a great film. Definitely like watch this film if you haven't before, because it is just has great animation, great music, a great story, great characters. There's great humor in it. Yeah, it just really like has it all really. So yeah, definitely like a really great film overall, and I definitely recommend this film. It just is really such a great film, and I really do love it a lot. Alright, so yeah, that does it for my review of Chicken Run. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And yeah, stay tuned for coming up next as I finish the countdown with my number one pick for this anime DreamWorks movies. I'm sure that a lot of you probably know what it is. A lot of you can probably guess because it's what pretty much everybody has said. Yeah, I won't say it here, but yeah, you can probably guess what it is. So stay tuned for that coming up next. But anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.